Round 2 of FIDE Candidates 2024. Nepomniachtchi starts against Firouzja. And we begin with Ruy Lopez. Let's go through it move by move, and slow down when the critical moment arrives. Before round 2, game 3, the lead is shared by Alireza Firouzja, D. Gukesh, and Fabiano Caruana on 0.5. In this game, Ian Nepomniachtchi has the white pieces against Alireza Firouzja, and this result feeds straight into the tournament race. Nepomniachtchi plays pawn to e4, and Firouzja answers pawn to e5. Nepomniachtchi plays knight to f3, and Firouzja answers knight to c6. So, bishop to b5 is met by knight to f6. Pawn to d3 is met by bishop to c5. For the moment, pawn to c3 is met by castle kingside. Nepomniachtchi plays castle kingside, and Firouzja answers pawn to d5. We get pawn from e takes on d5, then queen takes on d5. Nepomniachtchi plays bishop to c4, and Firouzja answers queen to d8. We get pawn to b4, then bishop to e7. We get knight from b to d2, then pawn to a6. We get pawn to a4, then bishop to f5. Queen to c2 is met by knight to d5. We get knight to e4, then bishop to g4. We get queen to a2, then knight to b6. We get bishop to b3, then bishop takes on f3. We get pawn from g takes on f3, then queen takes on d3. Nepomniachtchi plays king to g2, and Firouzja answers queen to d7. So, rook to d1 is met by queen to e8. We get pawn to h4, then knight to c8. Nepomniachtchi goes pawn to h5. Firouzja goes king to h8. Nepomniachtchi plays pawn to h6, and Firouzja answers pawn to g5. Nepomniachtchi finds queen to d2, the first move that really changes the tone of the game. Firouzja plays knight to d6. Nepomniachtchi goes bishop to b2. Firouzja goes knight to f5. Nepomniachtchi plays queen to d7. And now, knight to h4 with check, forcing the king to choose a square right now. We get king to f1, then pawn to f5. For the moment, knight to g3 is met by knight takes on f3. Nepomniachtchi plays pawn to b5, and Firouzja answers pawn to f4. So, knight to e4 is met by knight to a5. Nepomniachtchi chooses bishop to e6. Firouzja goes queen to g6. Here is the problem. Queen takes on e7. Nepomniachtchi picks off a key defender and simplifies, while the h-pawn remains a hook. Queen takes on h6. Firouzja grabs the advanced pawn, but Nepomniachtchi's pieces stay active. Nepomniachtchi finds bishop to f7, the first move that really changes the tone of the game. And now, queen to h3 with check. Firouzja insists on activity around the Nepomniachtchi king. Nepomniachtchi goes king to e2. Firouzja finds queen to f5, the first move that really changes the tone of the game. Nepomniachtchi finds bishop to d5, the first move that really changes the tone of the game. Firouzja plays rook from a to e8. This is the moment. Queen takes on c7. Nepomniachtchi grabs material while keeping coordination. Here is the problem. Queen to g4. Firouzja hunts for checks and pins, angling at pawn to e4 and pawn to f3. Now watch this. King to d3. This is the moment. Nepomniachtchi walks the king to central shelter, cutting off checks and preparing pawn to c4. Now watch this. Rook to d8. Firouzja hits the d-file, but the king on d3 is remarkably safe behind its pawns. And now pawn to c4. Nepomniachtchi kicks and opens lines on favorable terms. This is the moment. Rook takes on d5 with check. Firouzja grabs, but the d-file will bite back instantly. Here is the problem. Pawn from c takes on d5. Nepomniachtchi keeps the file under control and fixes a passed pawn. Now watch this. Queen to h3. Firouzja continues to check around the edges. And now, knight to g3. A clutch block. This shields the king and targets pawn to f5 and pawn to h5 squares. This is the moment. Knight to c4. Firouzja jumps in, but that knight becomes a tactical target. Here is the problem. Queen takes on c4. Nepomniachtchi eliminates the jumper and clears the fourth rank for his pieces. Now watch this. Pawn from f takes on g3. Firouzja opens files near Nepomniachtchi's king, but the structure also exposes Firouzja's own king. And now, pawn from f takes on g3. Nepomniachtchi closes the g-file and keeps the king shield intact. Pawn from a takes on b5. Firouzja chips away on the queen side to create counterplay. Pawn from a takes on b5. Nepomniachtchi keeps the passer and the space edge on the queen side. Here is the problem. Rook to c8. A slow move here. Firouzja's king still lacks a safe square. Here the move is rook to h1. Stronger was king to g7, giving the king air before committing a rook move. Here the move is queen to d7. Back to the game after rook to c8. This is the moment. Nepomniachtchi goes queen to e4. Firouzja plays king to g8. Nepomniachtchi finds king to e3, the first move that really changes the tone of the game. And now, knight to d4. Firouzja lunges in, but this tactic backfires immediately. This is the moment. Bishop takes on d4. The intermezzo that ends the debate. Nepomniachtchi picks off the knight, and Firouzja is busted. After round 2, Ian Nepomniachtchi moves to 1.5 points. The lead is shared by D. Gukesh, Fabiano Caruana, and Ian Nepomniachtchi on 1.5, so this result matters immediately in the standings. Nepomniachtchi gets the full point, and Firouzja cannot save the final position. That wraps up the game and what it means for the round.